Now we'd like to welcome Lara Connolly, 19-year-old local from Brisbane, Ipswich area. She started her photography journey just over 5 years ago after purchasing her first digital camera, a Sony A6000 for those tech savvies. Since then, she's upgraded and her old gear still holds a very sentimental place in her heart as a humble photographer from many years ago. A few years ago, she studied photography locally in Queensland, and now she's just started her own business, specialising in event, portrait and lifestyle photography, whilst also completing commercial and personal projects. She's also extremely thankful to have the chance to work alongside Charmaine at the annual summer camps as a camp photographer, and Lara also is so excited to use her gifts for God and in the Adventist community, whilst capturing special and precious memories for young campers and their family. Thanks, Lara.
Well, good morning, everyone. So firstly, I just want to say a big thanks to Charmaine for having me here today to speak at such a wonderful initiative. I'm really proud of her. So just to start off, I thought I'd share a little bit about where my passion for photography came from. So when I was 14, my best friend had just bought her first camera, which was also a Sony A6000. And, you know, we both had horses and lived on property, so it was quite often that we would go outside and take photos of each other. And I just remember being so amazed with what images this camera could produce. And it was those afternoons that really sparked my interest in photography. So fast forward probably 5 years, and my photography has definitely come a long way since then. It was in high school that a friend of mine, he had a photography business, and he asked me if I wanted to cover some events for him. At the time, I had very limited knowledge about what my camera could do, but I was overly confident in myself, so of course I agreed. And I remember rocking up to a 21st party and realising what I had got myself into. I knew barely anything, and I really, really hated it at first. I was like, this sucks. I never want to take photos of an event again. I felt really overwhelmed, and I felt like I just didn't know anything. But as time went by, those feelings of nervousness went away, and I forgot how scared I was, and I was asked to do another event, and of course I agreed again. Anyways, many events passed, and I started really loving event photography and being able to connect with people and talk to them through my passion. So last year I completed my Diploma of Photography and Photo Imaging at TAFE, and I was awarded a Silver Print Award for some of my photos, which was really special. And this year I started my photography business by Lara Photography, which has been a really great success so far. And between working my receptionist job and studying law, I'm always out and about taking photos for weddings, 21sts, formals, basically anything you could think of, really. So being able to use my photography as a source of income has definitely been a massive blessing. But being able to use my talent to serve God has been such a wholesome and rewarding experience for me. Something that money will never be able to buy. So growing up in the Adventist community, I've attended summer camp since I was 10. I'm 19 now, so I've been 9 years strong, and it's always the highlight of my year. Of course, as a camper, I loved the camps, thought they were absolutely excellent, but nothing was more exciting to me than being able to sit down at the night program and watching the slideshow of all the photos from the day. I just thought it was so exciting to see photos of you pop up and your friends and see what everyone was getting up to that day. And as my passion for photography grew, so did my curiosity. And I knew that Charmaine was the camp photographer, and I really, really wanted to get involved. I felt driven to, approach her and, be able to use my talents for God. So we got to talking, and she asked me if I wanted to stay an extra week and be her assistant and help her out. And of course I agreed. I was so excited. And over the course of that camp, Charmaine taught me so much more about the art of photography, and she really took me under her wing and was such a wonderful mentor. And we shared many laughs as we drove around, snapping pictures and editing in the office, eating way too many chocolates. But I really want to thank her for trusting me that week, and the knowledge I gained was insane, honestly. And without her mentorship and guidance, I would not be half the photographer I am today. So some of my photos. So running a photography business, it's easy to find yourself getting lost about what it means to really be a photographer. In today's world, everything's centered around the concept of productivity and efficiency. It's really hard to fit such a creative art form like photography into such a commercial and mundane frame of mind. At times, it feels like I'm in a constant battle between meeting editing deadlines and holding out till my next shoot. And I feel like having the opportunity to attend these summer camps really reminds me of why I have such a strong passion for photography and why I love it so much. Because the joy I get from hearing campers burst out in laughter when a photo of their friend being flung off a tube flicks across the screen is really like nothing else. The long nights of editing, sorting through photos, making slideshows and cutting and curating clips to match the music, it's honestly all worth it at the end of the day. To watch each joyful snapshot, I really, take a step back and think, I'm so grateful I'm so grateful for my gift and that I have the opportunity to capture such precious and happy moments of campers for them and their families for the rest of their life. So many people think that photography is all about pressing a button, but in reality it's really not that easy. So before I leave you all today, if you ever wanted to try photography, I thought I'd give you a couple tips to help you out. So my first tip is preparation. I have gone to events with the wrong equipment because I just assumed I knew what it was going to be like, and you rock up and you realise what you've gotten yourself into, and you're like, too late to back out now, so you've got to make do with what you got. So being organised and making sure you have a variety of lenses and equipment will help avoid any unnecessary stress and avoid you being caught off guard. The second tip is that it's really all about getting back to the basics and understanding how to use your camera. Learning how to use manual settings will allow you to adapt to almost any environment you might be faced with. Low light, daytime, nighttime, the list goes on. Automatic settings will only get you so far, and it's best not to rely on them, as I learnt during the beginning of my journey. Thirdly, get creative. Don't be afraid to approach a subject with a more alternative approach. Try different angles, point of views, and compositions. Take time to Take time to apply fundamental rules such as leading lines and the rule of thirds, but don't let this hold you back from trying something a little different. Next, have you ever considered what comes after you take a photo? Sure, you could leave it as it is, but a few minor adjustments can really add to the overall look of an image. Familiarise yourself with a variety of editing software such as Lightroom and Photoshop. Play around with the settings and see what you like. Eventually, you'll just know what needs adjusting and it'll come as second nature. Finally, it really is true that practice makes perfect. I've come a long way since those automatic setting days, and each time I shoot, I'm constantly learning new things and improving. Collaborating with other creatives, watching how they do things, and sharing tips and advice will really help as well. Working with others works wonders. So, in closing, I would like to thank Charmaine again for having me, and yeah, that's my journey as a photographer.